Paul, proud to have you here at Different. Thanks for coming. Some questions about Tech Shop. So, what is Tech Shop, and how is Tech Shop different from other Fab Labs or hacker shops?
Tech Shop is what's described as an open access makerspace. Tech Shop was set up to make available to people the tools of the third industrial revolution. Mm-hmm. It's created as a membership model, and the idea of the membership model is to reduce as much as possible the cost of accessing the hardware. So typically what we try and do is, on a global basis, we want to make access available at $125 or about €100 per member per month.
Okay. What do you think, why should companies consider to partner with Tech Shop?
When companies come to Tech Shop, what we've learned over time is that the missing ingredient they have in their own business is an ability to innovate easily. The challenge for the companies is that they have to keep their existing business in a steady stream situation. So, continue the revenues, continue the ongoing development. What they find is a challenge is to actually respond to ideas that come up very, very quickly and spontaneously. Mm-hmm. So what they recognize in Tech Shop in that perspective is an ability to go outside of the company, develop these ideas quickly, and then if they're successful or have the potential to be successful, bring them back within the company, within the traditional development model. Mm-hmm. And that's typically how we see them being used.
So how do cities like, let's say Berlin, how do cities benefit from having a Tech Shop?
When we come to a city to bring Tech Shop, what we talk about is the economic benefit that's delivered by having us there. In real estate terms, or I suppose more particularly in urban planning language, we're very much part of a place-making strategy. Mm-hmm. So cities will look at different areas and different districts of the city and wonder, what can we do in that particular location? So one area may be academic, one might be engineering, etc. So in the placemaking strategies, Tech Shop is seen as a destination. Mm-hmm. And as a destination within that placemaking, we then become a cluster for other businesses and industries within that area. Mm-hmm. When you further extrapolate the whole idea of that placemaking, we then say, okay, well, what's the economic impact or benefit? So in a traditional manufacturing situation, the job multiplier that would be used is about 1.2, 1.3 for every manufacturing job created. Tech Shop in the data that we have so far is at least 5 to 1. Okay. And in some of the cities we're seeing it's between 8 and 10 to 1. Mm-hmm. So from a city perspective, it's creating interesting jobs and quite a high multiplier for essentially no investment on their part. Okay. So what we really ask for the cities is to look and evaluate what Tech Shop is doing and then help us become established. This is not, them writing a big check to bring Tech Shop to the city, but it's really working at a city authority level to say, okay, how can we energize this? How can we bring focus to that particular area and activity? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So the benefit seems to be obvious. Where do you see Tech Shop in 5 to 10 years?
Tech Shop, in its aim, is looking to build 250 locations worldwide by 2019. And the idea of that is that it's a globally distributed network of facilities. So that means that somebody here in Berlin can work with a partner in Rome or in Sydney or in Delhi and use the network component of the Tech Shop to operate across those multiple geographies. The other thing it provides is an alternative option in terms of business modeling, that you could have a globally distributed manufacturing capability. So somebody selling a product in London and wanting to supply to a customer, let's say in Rio de Janeiro, can have the unit fabricated there locally. Mm-hmm. So it's a new type of business, a new type of activity, and that's what our global platform is intended to provide.
Okay. I would like to talk a little bit about the members of Tech Shop. So what are the most, let's say, surprising or most impressive insights you gained at Tech Shop?
There is no typical Tech Shop member.
Yeah.
We have members who start at 15, and I think our oldest member currently is 81. There's a very interesting demographic breakdown as well across that age range. You have probably 60% male and 40% female, and people are usually very surprised that there's such a high female representation. But I think that's testament to our model and the fact that we've been able to empower people, but also I think demystify the technology, and very much I think that's how the model has prospered. The other component you see is if we analyse the age profile, you have typically one group who are in their sort of early 20s to mid 30s. That's a large chunk. We then find that in the range of between 35 and 45, there's a dip in the curve, and that's typically accounted for by the fact that people are building families, they're developing relationships and establishing themselves. By the time mid 40s, we see the curve starting to rise again, and especially then here in Europe, what we're seeing is that as people start to retire, they now have the time, the ideas, and probably also the money available to them to come back in and start to look at things. So quite an age range, quite a different profile, and we see people just really enthusiastic and energized by the fact that for the first time in their lives they can actually get and do things which were really not available to them before.
Okay. So, while the tech shop story actually started in the US, you are now about to conquer the rest of the world. So, what are the biggest challenges you are facing when bringing tech shop abroad?
I think the fundamental difference between the tech shop model that evolved in the US and what we have now going out around the rest of the world is that the concentration of makers that was available in the US is really not available in the rest of the world. Yes, I mean, we definitely have people who are used to doing things with their hands, making things, they have the engineering and the artisan qualifications, but really they've never been able to do this in a simple and easy way. So I think that the challenge as we move out around the rest of the world is to effectively build a core stable unit in each city, which we're doing using partnerships with industry and with the academic sector. That then provides the base for us to allow individuals, entrepreneurs and SMEs to come in on an occasional basis and use the facility. And that seems to be the model that I think will prosper as we go around the rest of the world. The other key factor that I think Tech Shop needs to keep in mind constantly is that we must customize and adapt for the local environment. Every location will employ people from the locality, from that city. It must take the personality of that location as well. So, for example, somebody walking into a location in London or the one in Rome, it'll have a familiar feel to it. The equipment will be in the same place, the ideas will be the same, but the people will be different. The atmosphere, the personality will be different. And I think that's a critical factor to make us really become part of the communities in each of the cities that we go to.
As you're now entering the German market, any brands that will have his own tech shop here in Germany?
In Germany, we are hoping to do 3 locations. The one that we've announced so far is in Munich. That's a partnership with TU München and BMW. We then would hope to do both Berlin and Aachen. And there's also the potential to do other locations like Stuttgart and Hanover, to name at least another 2. So our short-term goal, and that's probably a 2015 timeframe, would be to have 3, and I would hope by 2017, 2018 that we would get to at least 5. The critical kind of mass that you need in a city is to have about a population of about 1 million people, or a very strong presence of university students, because again, that's where we will anchor the core of the business around the partnerships with the universities.
Okay. Paul, thanks for having you here. Good luck for the
Okay,
future.
thank you.